Hi guys, today we're going to learn how to convert a decimal number into any other number system. Now this is very simple. The general method is that you take the decimal number and you repeatedly divide it by the base of the number system in which you want to convert it into. So if you want to convert the number into binary, then you will repeatedly divide the decimal number by 2, and if you want to divide it into octal, you will repeatedly divide the decimal number into 8 and so on. So we will do an example of each, and let's start with binary. So for example, if we have the number 25, then what we would have to do is we would keep dividing it by 2. So as we know, 25 is not divisible by 2. So we have to see a number closer than 25, lesser than 25, that's closest to 25, that is divided by 2, and that is 24. And if we divide 24 by 2, then we get 12, and a remainder in this case would be 1, because 24 is 1 smaller than 25. So a remainder is 1. And now you have to take the answer here and then divide it by 2 again. So 12 is divisible by 2 and it is 6, and since it is divisible by 2, we do not have any remainder, so we would write 0. Now we will divide 6 by 2. Again 6 is also divisible by 2 and it is 3, and since it is divisible, our remainder would be 0 again. And now we would divide 3 by 2, and 3 is not divisible by 2, but the number lesser than 3 that is divisible by 2, it is 2. So 2 divisible by 2 is 1, and in this case our remainder would be 1, because 2 is 1 lesser than 3. I hope you guys know how to take remainders. Now we would write our 1 and we will divide it by 2, and it is lesser than 2, so this is where our calculation would end, and we have 1 left, so we would just write 1. Now you have to go from the bottom up. You don't have to come from the top down. You have to go from the bottom up, and you have to write each digit. Here we have 1, then we have 1, then we have 0, then we have 0, then we have 1. And this would be our binary number. Now let's look at the example for octal. Here we have 83 and we need to convert it into octal, and the base for octal is 8. Just like the base for binary was 2, so we divided this number by 2 repeatedly. Here our base for octal is 8, so we would divide the number by 8 repeatedly. So we divided by 8, and we cannot divide 83, but we can divide 80, and 80 divided by 8 is 10, and our remainder would be 3. Then we divide 10 because we got 10 here. Then we divide our 10 by 8, and 10 is not divisible by 8, but 8 is, so we divide 8 by 8 and we get 1, and 8 is 2 off by 10, so our remainder would be 2. Now we have 1. We will divide 1 by 8. 1 is lesser than 8, so it would be 0. And here our calculation would end because we got 0 on the right hand side of the equal sign, and our remainder would be 1 because we have 1 here. Now again you would go from the bottom up. You would go from the bottom up and you would write each digit. We have 1, then we had 2, then we had 3. Now this would be our octal number. Now let's see another example now for hexadecimal. So if you want to divide this number into hexadecimal, now what is our base for hexadecimal? Our base for hexadecimal is 16, so we would repeatedly divide it by 16. then we would get 15 here, and our remainder would be 14. So since our remainder is exceeding 9, we would consult the decimal to hexadecimal table here. For 14 decimal, our hexadecimal would be E. So we would write E here. And now let's take our 15 and divide it by 16. Since 15 is less than 16, we would get 0 here. Our calculation would end, and our remainder would be whatever is on the left hand side. So 15. And if we convert 15 into hexadecimal, we would get F. So again, we would go from the bottom up, and our hexadecimal digit would be F E. So that was it. It was really simple. The only thing you have to keep in mind is that you have to repeatedly divide the decimal digit by whatever the base you want to convert it into. Like for example, if you wanted to convert it into a base of 5, then you would have divided this by 5 continuously till you got the 0 here. I hope it was clear.